When an officer arrives on the scene of an active gun battle, typically his best defense is a shotgun. These cadets are trained to use low light, only the lights from the police car, and fire when necessary. The water is receding, but take a look at this. This chunk of ice that is up behind Hugh Smith's trailer is 9 inches thick. So obviously their natural barrier is made, but believe it or not, this barrier of ice, the entire river, is 7 miles long. And the big concern is if it keeps moving downriver, there's a trailer park in Coshocton that's right in its way, Colleen. Rick and I will take you down here. What they really need is those personal hygiene items. They told me that they have a lot of toothpaste and toothbrushes and shampoo and soap, but what they really need are personal care items for men. They really need the razors and the shaving cream and Kleenex. Nobody's bringing Kleenex. It's these little items that we don't think about, but boy, do they come in handy. I just found out that 50 homes here in Manchester have been condemned.
Monica Robbins joins us now from Galena, where she spent some time with a man who has been on all the network newscasts tonight simply because of his heartfelt question today.
That's right, Colleen. Mike McCall may be the most famous man in the country tonight, perhaps even the world. As you said, his emotional question to Secretary Cohen was seen on every network, nationally and internationally. He was one of the few speakers who showed support for an airstrike. Well, what did he think of this town meeting, and why did it mean so much to him? Mike McCall has a vested interest in whether we go to war with Iraq. He's fought in 3 himself, lost a stepson in Vietnam, and wants to make sure the country will finish a job it starts.
This little guy right here, she and I helped raise that boy. That's my grandson. I don't want him to go back in 10 years to finish this job.
McCall joined the Marines at age 15, fought in World War II in Okinawa, and in 1951 joined the Air Force and went to Korea and Vietnam. He thought the foreign policy team held their own.
But I thought they'd done a good job in answering the question. They didn't satisfy everybody. They didn't satisfy me. But they'd done, I think, the best they could do without tipping their hand.
And despite the protesters, he thought the cabinet members had mostly support.
I thought it was about 90% for what was being said.
And just what did he think of those protesters?
I didn't like what they did. But as many, many veterans will stand and tell you, I'll fight to my dying breath for their right to get up and say what they believe.
McCall certainly made an impact at that town meeting. Tomorrow he'll be interviewed on the Today Show. His response was what the administration was hoping to hear from the heartland, but we'll have to wait and see if this international town meeting garnered enough support from the American people to give the administration comfort if an airstrike is necessary. Colleen.
Thank you, Monica. And
Cabot, 6 blocks of Manchester are underwater, and tomorrow the Ohio River will swallow more when it crests at 63 feet. The National Guard is still rescuing people who refuse to leave home, and others are learning they have no home left. For the first time in days, the people of Manchester saw sunshine, but it only gave them a clearer view of the devastation. Nearly 2/3 of town underwater. Cemetery markers struggling to be seen. Dangers floating in the muddy water, and those who thought they'd avoid the flood pack what they can. Barb Seal and Mike Russell waited as long as they could. Now they're wading to safety. Russell watched these waters take everything he owns. He fought back tears because he can't fight this.
Yeah, I lost a house in Ripley yesterday, and the trailer park here is flooded now. And my building in the basement's all flooded. It's coming up inside the house now. So I've lost about everything I've got.
Rod Suter thought he'd be able to rescue some things from his mother-in-law's trailer, but he couldn't get there.
God help us all. A lot of tragedy.
As the sun faded, these people watched insult to injury move in from the west. Storm clouds carrying more rain covered the light and left only the sounds of the water-filled night. Manchester High School is now home to hundreds. The Salvation Army expects about 200 people to be using the shelter, many of whom had to leave their homes underwater. Some were lucky enough to pull anchor and save theirs. The streets of Manchester are lined with trailers. The National Guard keeps watch over looters, and and rescues those who refuse to leave.
Give me a boat down here next to
They bring them in 10, 11 at a time.
Are people still staying in their houses?
Yes, they are. They're refusing to come out, some of them.
Their houses are submerged.
Don't want to leave their homes. They think they can wait it out. I don't think they have any idea the potential or how bad it is.
27-year-old Tiffany Logan is a single mom fighting to take care of 8-year-old Chelsea and a 4-year-old son, Stephen. She calls herself Tiffany Lady Logan, and if you don't think that's a tough name, step into the ring.
I've always been a fighter in every aspect of my life.
But she's not a typical boxer. Besides being female, she gets up at 5 every morning, takes the kids to daycare, then goes to an 8-hour job as a nursing assistant, then picks the kids up. Then she brings the kids here to the Beatty Rec Center, where she puts herself through a 2-hour grueling workout in the ring, then goes home and makes dinner. Why is she doing all this?
By the time me and my little brother Steven is 18, she should have enough money for me and him to go to college.
It's all up to me. I'm a single parent. I have 2 children. It's up to me. A little sweat and hard work never hurt anybody. I might as well do it this way.
For the last year, she's dedicated herself to push-ups, jumping rope, gut-pounding sit-ups, beating the bag, stand-up sit-ups, hitting the speed bag, then getting into the boxing ring. Her trainer wasn't sure what to expect, but her desire to give her kids an education she didn't get keeps her focused.
She comes in on time every day. She's very, very focused. She listens, and that kind of makes my job a lot easier.
Thursday, she got some pointers from Riddick Bowe, who didn't think women should box.
I don't think it's feminine. I think women should, get regular jobs or stay in the kitchen.
She put him in her corner.
I reminded him that someone probably told that to Baryshnikov about men in tights. So I think he got the idea.
Next month, she'll fight in the first women's national tournament. She's a positive puncher.
There's no female heavyweight champion till I get there. So that's my goal. That's what I'm going to do. I got a lot of heart. I'm not a quitter. I'm a trooper. I'm going to make it.
Monica Robbins, News Channel 4, Columbus. Police in Athens, Ohio are trying to figure out how an Ohio University student ended up laying face down in the Hocking River. The body of 21-year-old Vamsi Palutla was discovered yesterday near the university's golf course. The medical examiner says there were no signs of violence. The victim was a graduate student from India. A Hebron family is grieving over the death of their 2-year-old boy. Little Kobe Voorhees drowned after he fell into his grandparents' swimming pool. He was pronounced dead at Licking Memorial Hospital. The sheriff's department says the boy was playing in the backyard while his grandparents hung Christmas lights. They believe he climbed through a gate and fell into the pool. Akron police spent part of their holiday looking for leads in the death of a well-known doctor. The body of Dr. Margot Prade was found behind the medical building where she worked. An employee found Prade in her minivan, apparently shot to death. Investigators hope a surveillance tape will give them some clues. Well, tomorrow is the busiest shopping day of the year, but how much will you be spending this year? One poll says this may be a Christmas for Scrooge. 56% of those polled say they will spend about as much as last year. 31% say they'll spend less, and only 12% of those polled plan to spend more. And the bargains begin tomorrow as well. A lot of people may be stuffing stockings with classic movies, and which will most people pick? Well, of the 1,000 people polled, It's a Wonderful Life was the favorite Christmas movie, and following closely behind, Miracle on 34th Street, followed by A Christmas Carol, The Santa Claus, and A Christmas Story. Georgia's corrections commissioner reprimanded a warden who invited scantily clad cheerleaders to perform during a conference at Wilcox State Prison. The Macon Whoopettes wore T-shirts and silk shorts and performed for 2 minutes during lunch. The women then took a tour of the 800-inmate prison, although they were given rain slickers that covered them from ankle to neck. The warden was placed on no-pay status for 30 days and relieved of his duties. Imagine that.
Well, a fully dressed David Thompson is here with sports.
A 7-minute power outage at an air traffic control center that services 7 states, including Ohio, was worse than the government let on. The union representing air traffic controllers says there was much more of a risk than the FAA admits. The union says the November 19th outage kept controllers out of contact with planes for 7 minutes. The government denies all of this.
Well, the holidays are filled with tradition, Christmas trees, feasts, and presents, and one tradition that's been going on for 19 years is Kappa's A Christmas Carol. The Dickens Classic kicked off performances today at the Ohio Theater. The Nebraska Theater Caravan puts on the performance. A Christmas Carol runs through Sunday. Imagine living the rest of your life wearing a protective helmet. That's what happens to victims of massive skull injuries. But now some Chicago patients are able to throw away those helmets thanks to a computer, a laser, and a type of surgery. News Channel 4's Nasita Kwan has more on a procedure called medical morphing. Amazing. Jonathan's mother says both her son's memory and concentration are getting better.
That is amazing.